We need younger folks, people with more drive who can hit bigger goals, Gary Mitchell explained, pushing the layoff papers toward me across the shiny meeting table. The company's changing direction. I'm Mark Jensen. I'm 46. For 9 years, I was a top salesperson at Summit Solutions over in Riverside, Ohio. I'd spent nearly a decade building up a list of clients that brought in almost half the money for the company. No easy way out, just long hours, lots of travel, and connections built on people trusting me. I just smiled, said thanks for the chance I'd been given, and left without arguing. Gary Mitchell had only been here 6 months, brought in by the head boss to liven things up. He wore expensive suits, talked in those cheesy motivational lines, and never once went with me to see a client. 3 weeks after he started, he changed how we got paid, cutting my earnings by 20% even though I was doing great. The signs were clear. My desk got moved to a far corner when they redid the office. My name stopped showing up on meeting lists. Just yesterday, I saw the tech guy messing with my work computer while I was out for lunch. Little things, not a big deal on their own, but enough to know something was coming my way. I packed up 9 years into one box. Pictures of my family, a coffee cup my daughter painted, and a list of client contacts I'd kept separate from the company files. Just a habit, really. Need a hand with that? Asked Lisa from the office next door. She looked really puzzled. Are you changing spots? Something like that, I said, not wanting to make a fuss. Going down in the elevator, I stood next to Mr. Harrison, our CEO. He nodded but didn't really see me. He was glued to his phone. He had no clue what Gary had just done or how it would mess up the company's numbers later on, but he'd find out soon enough. Walking to my car, I didn't feel mad. Just this weird clear feeling, like waking up from a long, comfy dream to find out the house wasn't really yours after all. I drove home quietly. No calls, no music, just thinking about what tomorrow would bring. My phone buzzed just as I pulled into my driveway. It was David Miller, my biggest client. Our yearly contract was up next week. He'd texted about getting dinner when he was in town. He didn't know yet. No one did. I put the phone on the kitchen counter without answering and looked out the window. 9 years of working with clients, all built on my word and them knowing they could count on me. Gary didn't just fire an employee today. He cut the only link between Summit Solutions and millions of dollars, and he had no idea. I joined Summit Solutions when it was a much smaller place, before they changed the name and got the fancy office downtown. Mr. Harrison hired me himself. I was doing well at another company but kept getting passed over for better jobs. I want someone who understands this area, he said, someone clients believe in. For 7 years, he was right to trust me. I helped our client list grow from just local businesses to big companies nationwide. I stretched our contracts from 1 year to 3 and 5. I got Apex Industries to switch to us when they left our main competitor. I brought in the Sterling Group when everyone said we had no chance. My wife, Emily, used to joke that I was married to my clients. Dinner with the Andersons again on Thursday, she'd ask, already knowing the answer. The kids got used to me missing their games and school plays. Dad's working became normal for them. I told them it would all be worth it one day. 3 job promotions, 2 bigger offices, and 1 tough time for the economy later, Summit Solutions had grown from a $4 million business to a $30 million one, with my clients bringing in about $12 million of that. Not that anyone had figured out the exact percentage until Gary showed up. The first clear warning sign popped up during a meeting about our sales numbers, 3 months after Gary took over. You haven't brought in many new clients lately, he said, pointing at a graph that showed I'd only added 2 that quarter. Because I'm focused on making the current client relationship stronger, I explained. The Apex contract just doubled. The future is getting new business, Gary insisted. We need people who hunt for new deals, not just look after old ones. A week later, my helper, Lisa, was given a different job. The next month, I needed extra permission for my travel plans. My spending reports came back with questions. Little things like being slowly picked apart. I started hearing talk about interviewing new, young people. Fresh business school grads with big ideas but no real experience in our field. Gary called them game changers. Last month, he hired Sarah Chen, 29, from a tech startup. During her first week, she was put on a call with me and David Miller. No reason given, no proper introduction, just showing her the ropes. David noticed. After the call, he texted me, "Who's the new person? Are you getting someone ready to take your place?" I laughed it off. Just adding to the team. But driving home that night, I felt a change inside me, the kind of sure feeling you get after years of understanding how things work in big companies and reading people's faces. Something wasn't right. I should have listened to that feeling sooner. I put my box on the kitchen counter and poured myself some whiskey. The house was empty. Emily was at her sister's place out of town for the week, helping with a new baby. Probably for the best. I needed the quiet. I took out my personal phone and looked through my contacts. 9 years of connections, over 200 clients, suppliers, and people in the business. People who trusted me with their work. People who signed up with Summit Solutions because of me, not because of some company ad or the fancy office. My work phone, now dead in the box, only had the official messages. The invitations to dinner, the golf games, the personal cell numbers of company bosses and decision-makers. They were all here, on my personal phone. Information I'd gotten by being someone people wanted to work with. I took a sip of my drink and felt a strange calm wash over me. No panic, no worry about paying the bills or health insurance. Just a clear understanding of what had happened and what would happen next. The whiskey burned going down. 9 years of working 60 hours a week, of missing family dinners and my son's little league games. 9 years of building something I thought belonged to me, only to find out it didn't. I opened my laptop and pulled up my work contract. The part about not working for a competitor was there, but it didn't cover much. 1 year, and only if I quit on my own. Getting fired changed things. There was no legal rule stopping me from taking my clients somewhere else. My phone buzzed. David again. Dinner plan is set for Thursday. Looking forward to talking about renewing the contract. I stared at the message for a long time. David Miller's company, Apex Industries, meant $1.7 million a year for Summit Solutions. They'd been with me for 6 years. Before that, 3 years at my old job. Almost 10 years of trust. And he wasn't the only one. The Sterling Group, Westlake Properties, Chapman Corp., together, they were another $1.5 million. All of them had contracts ending in the next month. All of them only dealt through me. I put my glass down and made up my mind. I wouldn't call anyone tonight, wouldn't send angry messages or make threats. I'd sleep on it, wake up thinking clearly, and then make exactly 3 phone calls. Not to complain, just to tell my closest clients that I was no longer with Summit Solutions, starting right away. The rest would just happen. I took out the family pictures from my box. My daughter's graduation, my son's wedding, the trip we almost didn't take because a client had an urgent problem. I'd missed too much already. Tomorrow, I'd start making different choices. I finished my whiskey and went upstairs to sleep in an empty house. For the first time in years, I didn't set an alarm. No early flights, no sales numbers to check before the sun came up. Just the quiet certainty that Gary Mitchell had made a massive mistake. And I didn't need to do anything but stand back and let it all unfold. I made my 3 calls the next morning. No drama, just the facts. David, I'm not working at Summit Solutions anymore, as of yesterday. Wanted you to hear it straight from me. His answer came fast. What happened? Who's taking care of our account now? Gary Mitchell will probably contact you. Or maybe Sarah Chen. A long pause. The young woman from the meeting? She doesn't understand our business. That's all I can tell you. It's up to you what you do next. I had similar talks with James from the Sterling Group and Peter from Chapman Corporation. No hints, no trying to get them to join me, just information given with the same reliability they expected from me. By noon, my personal phone was constantly ringing. Other clients had heard. The business world is small that way. At 2 p.m., Mr. Harrison called. I sent it to voicemail. Mark, this is Mr. Harrison. We need to talk about your leaving. Several clients are saying they're worried. Please call me back right away. I didn't. Instead, I drove downtown to meet with Mr. Davies, a lawyer who deals with job issues. I'd helped his son-in-law get a loan for a restaurant 3 years ago. He owed me a favor. They can't stop you from working, Mr. Davies confirmed after looking at my layoff papers. But they'll try to scare your clients into not following you. Be ready for that. By 4 p.m., Summit Solutions' legal team had sent an email reminding me about keeping company secrets. By 5 p.m., Gary had texted, "Let's talk about how you'll leave. There might be a chance for you to do some consulting work." Too late. My phone buzzed again at 5:30 p.m. "David just finished a call with your CEO and that VP who fired you. They said everything would continue smoothly. Said Sarah would personally handle everything. Then they offered a 10% price cut on renewing the contract." "What did you tell them?" I asked. "That I'd think about it." "I didn't say anything," David went on. "I've sent them a note saying we're ending our contract because the person we work with is gone. The Sterling Group and Chapman Corp did the same." Still, I didn't say anything. "Mark, where are you going?" "Because wherever it is, that's where our business is heading." That night, 3 more companies from my list sent notices to Summit Solutions saying they were ending their contracts. By morning, the total was 8, adding up to over $3.2 million in deals. Mr. Harrison called an urgent meeting of the company board. I know because Lisa, my old assistant, texted me. "Complete mess here. Gary trying to say you're stealing clients. CEO asking why no one saw this coming." My phone rang again. A number I didn't know. "Mark Jensen," I answered. "Michael Grant here. Pinnacle Partners. A company we compete with, smaller place, better name for doing good work. I hear you're available, and some friends we both know say great things about you." "I'm listening." "A head VP job, a big signing bonus, complete freedom to manage your own clients, and a spot on our main leadership team. When could you start?" "How about tomorrow?" I said yes right away, not because I was desperate or in a hurry, but because it was exactly what I wanted. Respect, control over my work, and them seeing the value I brought. That afternoon, Gary texted again. "Board approved a deal to keep you. Full pay for 6 months, plus company shares. Just help us pass your clients over." I didn't answer. There was nothing to say. They'd had 9 years to appreciate what I built. Now they were rushing to put a price on it after it was already slipping away. Too little. Way too late. A week after starting at Pinnacle Partners, Lisa called me from her personal phone. "You need to know what really happened," she said. "It wasn't just Gary wanting his own people." I sat in my new corner office, bigger than the one at Summit Solutions, and listened as 9 years of history rearranged itself into a clearer picture. "They were planning to sell the company," Lisa explained. "Capital Ventures made an offer 2 months ago, but they had conditions. They wanted to bring in their own people to handle the big clients, mix them in with the companies they already own." Everything clicked into place. Gary hadn't been hired to get more sales. He'd been brought in to move clients away from me, making them company property instead of relationships tied to one person. Me losing my job wasn't about how well I did. It was getting ready to sell the company. "How do you know this?" I asked. "I'm still working for the top bosses. I see the papers, hear the talks. Yesterday, they pulled their offer. Capital Ventures won't buy without the clients you brought in." After we hung up, I sat still for a long time. 9 years of being loyal, and they were willing to cut me off from my clients like getting rid of someone in the middle. Not because I failed, but because I did too well. The connections were too strong, too personal. They needed me gone before they could repackage the clients as something the company owned. I opened my laptop and checked my email. More past clients had reached out. The business world was buzzing with the news. Mark Jensen had moved to Pinnacle Partners, and clients were following. Summit Solutions' stock price had dropped 12% in 5 days. My phone buzzed with a text from Mr. Harrison. "Can we meet? Just you and me. No lawyers." I didn't answer right away. The feeling of being betrayed, even deeper now, settled in my stomach like a cold weight. Not just fired, but intentionally sacrificed as part of a corporate game. I picked up the phone and called David Miller. "I need to ask you something," I said. "Did Summit Solutions try to introduce you to anyone from Capital Ventures in the last few months?" A pause. "How did you know?" "They brought in some guy, Tom, during our quarterly meeting. Said he was a strategy expert, looking at our business. Asked a lot of questions about what we'd need in the future." Proof. They'd been parading people from Capital Ventures in front of my clients, setting things up for the change, all while I was still working there, still believing I was building something that mattered. More calls showed the same pattern. Behind my back, meetings were set up, information was gathered, client relationships were tested for weaknesses or places where I could be gotten rid of. By the end of the day, I'd confirmed that at least 6 of my main clients had been quietly introduced to people from Capital Ventures, all under the pretense of being strategic experts or industry consultants. I finally texted Mr. Harrison back. "No meeting needed. I completely understand the Capital Ventures situation." His response came quickly. "It was a business decision, Mark. Nothing personal." But it was personal. 9 years of building connections, of knowing clients' kids' names and where they went on vacation, of answering calls on weekends and holidays. All reduced to something in the way of a company deal. I closed my laptop and looked out at the riverside skyline from my new office. The view was different here, somehow clearer. Pinnacle Partners had already signed deals with 11 of my old clients, bringing in nearly $5 million a year, and more were coming. Not because I was trying to steal them, but because in this business, trust follows people, not company names or marketing strategies. Summit Solutions hadn't just lost a salesperson. They'd lost the base their growth was built on, and they still didn't fully get why. 3 weeks after starting at Pinnacle, I got asked to speak at the Midwest Business Conference. The topic, building client loyalty in a fast-moving market. I saw the irony. I said yes, not to boost my ego or get noticed, but because I knew who would be there. People in my field, potential clients, and most importantly, the remaining leaders from Summit Solutions. Mr. Harrison never missed this conference. Neither did the board members. Meanwhile, Pinnacle had given me things Summit Solutions never did. 2 dedicated research people, help with marketing, and most importantly, part ownership in the company. Every client I brought in wasn't just for a commission check. It was building something I partly owned. I spent a month getting ready for the conference, not with fancy slides or practice stories, but with facts. Working late with my research team, I put together numbers showing how well every client who moved with me from Summit Solutions to Pinnacle was doing. The results were impossible to argue with. The time it took to help them was 53% faster, costs for starting things were down 30%, and how happy clients went up by 22 points. It wasn't just about me. It was about proving what happens when companies value relationships more than just quick deals. The morning of the conference, I looked over my notes one last time. No big shocking announcements, no naming names, just facts and what happened because of them. Professional, calm, and crushing. As I walked into the big room, I saw Mr. Harrison right away, talking closely with 2 board members near the coffee. His face got tense when he saw me. I nodded politely and kept walking. The panel talk started with the usual questions about business trends and new technology. When it was my turn, I spoke simply about what clients really cared about. In a time where everything is done by computers, having a person you can rely on has become the most valuable thing, I said. Companies often think client relationships belong to the company. They don't. They are agreements of trust between people that need constant care. I showed my numbers without saying Summit Solutions, just examples of clients who switched companies and saw immediate improvements. The point isn't about trying to pay people to stay or legal agreements, I finished. It's about understanding that when you treat the people who manage client relationships like they're all the same, clients will show you exactly how wrong that idea is. During the questions part, someone in the audience, a young analyst I didn't know, asked the question everyone was probably thinking. Isn't your recent move from Summit to Pinnacle, along with several big clients, exactly what companies worry about when they think about how much freedom to give their client managers? The room went quiet. I could feel Mr. Harrison's eyes on me from across the room. That's a fair question, I replied. But think about the other side. Summit Solutions lost those clients not because I took them, but because they didn't understand what those clients truly valued. No one followed me just because they liked me personally. They followed because their needs were consistently met better through my way of doing things, a way my old employer decided wasn't right for their future. I paused, looking briefly at Mr. Harrison. Every company has the right to change their direction, and every client has the right to decide if that new direction works for them. The market is very good at sorting things out that way. After the talk, 3 more former clients from Summit Solutions came up to me. By the end of the conference, Pinnacle had signed papers agreeing to work with 5 new clients, adding another $2.7 million a year. That evening, I checked the business news. Summit Solutions had announced they were changing how they were organized. Gary Mitchell was looking into other opportunities. The Capital Ventures purchase was officially off. Their stock had fallen another 8%. I closed my laptop without feeling satisfied or victorious. Just the quiet certainty that comes from being proven right in the clearest way possible, by the market itself. The lesson had been delivered. Whether they would learn from it wasn't my problem anymore. 6 months after I was fired, I stood in Pinnacle's biggest meeting room, surrounded by my team and the company leaders. On the screen behind me, one slide showed our numbers for the last 3 months. $8.4 million in new business, 70% from clients who used to be with Summit Solutions. Michael Grant himself raised a glass to the best deal we've ever made, and we didn't even have to buy a company to get it. People chuckled politely. I smiled but didn't join in. For me, this wasn't about celebrating. It was about being proven right. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Summit Solutions Corp. Announces CEO change. Everett Stanton steps down amid ongoing money problems. I slipped the phone back in my pocket without showing anyone. Some wins don't need an audience. Later that afternoon, I got an email from Sarah Chen, the young woman Gary had tried to put in my place. I've been let go, along with most of the sales team. Any chance Pinnacle is hiring? I sent it to our HR department with a note. Worth talking to. It wasn't her fault what happened. As I was leaving the office, my assistant handed me an envelope that had been delivered. Inside was a handwritten note from Mr. Harrison. You were right. I put making deals above building relationships. It cost the company everything. If you're ever willing to get coffee, I'd really like the chance to say sorry in person. I folded the note and put it in my jacket pocket. Maybe someday. Not yet. That evening, driving home, I went past Summit Solutions building. The sign was being taken down from the front. The local business paper had said they were moving to a smaller office further out. I didn't slow down, didn't take a picture, just kept driving, looking ahead toward the life I was building on my own terms. 1 year to the day after Gary had slid those papers across the meeting table, I signed the final documents making me a full partner at Pinnacle Partners. The company had grown 34% since I arrived. My clients now brought in nearly $20 million a year. I closed the folder with the partnership agreement and looked out my office window at the riverside skyline. The same buildings, the same city, but everything else felt new. Emily came in with 2 cups of coffee. Signed and done. I nodded. Signed and done. She sat across from me, looking at my face. You don't look as happy as I thought you would. Just thinking about Summit Solutions, I shook my head. About what I'm building here, about doing it the right way this time. That morning, I'd approved hiring 3 new client managers, all with the same profit-sharing deal I got. No one would build something here only to have it taken away. That was the first thing I did as a partner. My phone buzzed. David Miller. Heard about you becoming a partner. Congrats. Knew you'd end up okay. Thanks to clients like you. No, he corrected. Thanks to you being the kind of person you are. We just went where the value was. After we hung up, I picked up the framed quote Emily gave me last Christmas, a simple saying on old-looking paper, "The best revenge is major success." I put it back on the shelf, face down. That part of my life was over. I took out my calendar and set up a lunch with Mr. Harrison. Not to rub it in, not to go over the past, but because sometimes the final step in moving forward is letting go of the weight of what happened before. I turned off my computer, grabbed my keys, and walked out to meet Emily. We had tickets to see our son's band play, something I never would have had time for in my old life. Some losses clear the path for better wins. Some fires burn away what needs to go. I'd never been more sure of that than I was today.